What's up, troopers? Welcome to the Empty Escape Pod. My name is Oots, and in this video, I'm going to be giving my review of Star Wars Battlefront 2. Alright, so first I'm going to try to keep it spoiler-free as long as possible, so I'm going to start with a review of the multiplayer, and then we'll get into the campaign. I'll start off by saying I've been playing on PS4 Pro. Graphics are super awesome on my 4K TV, love it. So as far as multiplayer goes, first off, I'm going to talk about the game modes. We got a few different ones. I've been playing mostly Galactic Assault, which I'm enjoying a fair amount. I have played each of them a little bit. So starting with Galactic Assault, it is the one I've been enjoying the most and therefore playing the most. There are definitely some balance issues on some of the maps, but overall, I really like it as a game mode. I like how on most of the maps, the objective changes for each level. There are some of them where it's kind of like the same. I think there's one of them where it's pretty much the same thing 3 times in a row. There might just be a different number of them, which that gets kind of boring. Specifically on Kashyyyk, I think it could be balanced in the first part where I never really feel like we have a chance of taking down the MTTs, which I understand that you're not really supposed to win on the first objective, but I still never even feel like we have a chance of it. I think maybe they should make it a little bit easier to damage the MTTs, but give the attacking team more reinforcements after that objective, maybe, just to make it feel like you're actually working towards something or have a chance of actually achieving something on defense in the first round there. The Camino map also stands out as needing some balance. The first objective, the fact that there's just one objective there, it kind of becomes a big cluster around that of just explosives. And I feel like it would make more sense for something like that to be the last objective than the first one. It is a little bit weird that we can't select specific maps the way that we could in the original Battlefront. I'm hoping that that's something that they add later on. I'm pretty sure I played for 2 or 3 days before I ever even played on the Hoth map for Galactic Assault, and I still think I've only played on it like 3 times, where I've played a ton of like Camino and Kashyyyk. That feels kind of silly, especially since it's something that they had in the first game. I'm really hoping that's something that they add back in later down the line. Heroes and Villains, probably my second favorite game mode. I really like the game mode when you actually get to play it. My problem with it is that most of the times when I've played it, I've gotten in for 1 round, and then after that round, most of the people leave, and then we're stuck waiting for players to populate so we can play again, which doesn't always happen very quickly for that game mode, I've found. So either I think being able to start with 3 players on each team, or maybe being able to have up to 5 on each team would be cool. I would really like being able to have 5 players on each team. I know that the big reason that they can't do that right now is because you only start with 4 heroes on each side unlocked. So if you happen to get 4 people who just started playing the game, if you happen to get 5 people that just started playing the game, one of them wouldn't have a hero to use. So I get why they do 4 and 4, but I would like to be able to see 5 and 5 there. And being able to start matches with 3 players on each team, I think would be a big improvement for that game mode as well. Also, I would like to see, and I've heard that there were some rumors about them working on this pre-launch, but some more objective-based heroes and villains game modes where it's not just kill each other. You know, that's one thing that I like that they've done in the game, is having objective-based modes. So I'd really like to see that added for heroes versus villains as well. Blast, team deathmatch, nothing to write home about there. That's fine. Strike is cool. That's a good, smaller, objective-based game mode. I haven't been playing it as much as Galactic Assault, but I do like what I have played of it. I haven't really had any issues with that one. Starfighter Assault, I have only hopped into a couple times since launch, and that is because the first time I had some really, really bad lag issues, and this is the only time that I've experienced them so far. I know a lot of people are reporting lag issues. I have had some minor lag in the infantry-based game modes, but the first time that I got really bad lag was when I hopped into Starfighter Assault, and I was rubber banding really bad where I would turn to avoid an obstacle and then just rubber band and crash into it, and that got super frustrating and kind of turned me off from playing it for a little while. But I did hop back in and played a couple matches where I wasn't really having any lag issues, so I think that was kind of just a one-off instance, hopefully. But again, I know there have been people reporting that they are having lag issues. Still on Starfighter Assault, I do like that they've made it, again, an objective-based game mode where you're not just killing each other who can kill people the fastest. I like that they've made it so you have to kind of bob and weave around either like inside of a ship or around asteroids and stuff. I really like that. I'm definitely dying a lot because of it, but I still think it's super cool and really fun. And not getting that frustrated by those deaths except for when I was having the rubber banding issues. That was really annoying. Before I move on from game modes, the one thing that is absolutely crazy to me is that they don't just put Conquest, classic Conquest, in this game. It was such a big part of the original Star Wars Battlefront. It was such a big part of Battlefield, which is made by DICE, the same people that make Star Wars Battlefront. So I don't understand why they don't just put it in there. I feel like they're probably trying to avoid comparisons between Battlefield, or they feel like it would just be seen as lazy, but I would really like it. I think it creates variable games, you know, where you're not just going from here to here to here, you're kind of jumping all around the map, and that's the one thing that I do feel is really missing from the game, is just a conquest mode. And then kind of a sub-point on the game modes, which I've already touched on a little bit, is the maps. Overall, I am really enjoying the maps. The skyboxes are absolutely amazing. Kashyyyk specifically, I love when I spawn in there. I always just kind of look around at the trees and all the tree houses up there. So I think from an aesthetic view, the map design is excellent. As I've already mentioned, there's some balance things that could be worked out. But overall, I really like the aesthetic of the game and the maps. Super cool. Next up in multiplayer is classes. I'm a huge fan of the classes. I like it way better than the system from the first game, where for the most part everyone was running around with jump packs, hopping all over the place, which was great for everyone's mobility, but it seemed kind of silly. Personally, I have been playing a ton of the heavy, and I do kind of feel like I can get away with it in pretty much every situation. That's the one thing, is I wish that I felt like I needed to pick certain classes for certain situations, where right now I'm kind of just picking the heavy 90, if not 99% of the time, and it's working out. But I am a big fan of that system. I like the reinforcement system and the hero system, where you are earning the battle points to spawn in as stronger classes. I'm personally gravitating more towards the Enforcer. I'm not as huge a fan of the Rocket Troopers. Just having two of the abilities taken up by the Rocket Jump and the Rocket Slide, it kind of feels like a waste to me. I don't find those to be all that useful. So when I am using reinforcements over heroes, I'm usually going for one of the Enforcers, and I am enjoying those quite a bit. The heroes I like as well. I like that if you play them smart, then they do feel really powerful, but they don't feel super overpowered, where if you're going up against one, and again, you play smart and kind of stay back and spread out and are able to work with your team to kind of shoot them from different angles, at least for the lightsaber users, it seems like they're not super overpowered, and if you're intent on taking them out, then you can do it. So I think the heroes are fairly well balanced versus the infantry. They feel powerful, but not too powerful, which is exactly what you want from them. Next thing I want to touch on is the progression, which obviously is not great, and a lot of people are very upset about that. For me, and I think it should be the same for most people, progression in a multiplayer shooter isn't a huge deal for me. It's not the reason that I'm playing the game. It's not an RPG. I'm having fun while I'm in the game shooting people, and I think that's the most important thing. That said, if you are going to put a progression system in your game, I feel like you should give it a little bit more thought than they did to this. I have been playing the game for quite a while now, and I've kind of plateaued as far as what I'm getting, at least playing as the heavy. If I hop around and play as some other classes, then there is still some stuff that I'm working towards. But I've reached a point where the only way I can improve with the heavy class is by crafting star cards or by purchasing loot boxes. And I don't really like that. I do wish I could feel like just by playing the game I am progressing and I don't have to go do some extra thing that's not related to what I did inside of a match in order to progress. So that's definitely a little bit annoying. That could be better, but it's definitely not the most important thing to me in a multiplayer online shooter. So I'm not too upset about it, not nearly as upset about some people out there. And the last thing that I want to touch on before moving to the campaign is the microtransactions, which obviously they have shut those down, which I think is a very good thing. I'm hoping that it's not the case, as is rumored, that the only reason they got shut down was because of Disney getting involved. I'd like to think EA cares what their consumers think about it as well. But that said, it just blows my mind that we have, in my opinion, a game out there that does microtransactions perfectly in Overwatch, where the loot boxes contain only cosmetic items. It's never going to affect gameplay. I think that's the perfect way to do it, and I don't understand why other developers can't grasp that concept. I don't know if it's because they're trying to be greedy and trying to incentivize you to pay money to progress in the game, or if they don't believe that people will spend money on the cosmetic items, which I can't imagine that's it, because there's proof of that in Overwatch. I just don't understand it. Just, if you're gonna put paid loot boxes in your game, just make them cosmetic items. I don't see how anybody can complain about that. So overall, I'm enjoying the multiplayer quite a bit. Progression system sucks, but it's not that important to me. The gameplay, the game modes, and the maps are all super fun to me. Wish there was conquest. Don't understand why there's not. But overall, I'm enjoying the multiplayer quite a bit. Probably going to continue hopping into it a lot more. The campaign. The campaign was my biggest disappointment of the year so far, for sure. I was super excited for the campaign. They sold it so well. If it was what they told us we were getting, I would have absolutely loved it. And it was that for about the first quarter or so of the game, where we're playing as Iden Versio. We're on the Imperial side. We're shooting rebels. It was really interesting. And then she turned from the Empire to the rebels, and it just became a bland, generic Star Wars story, and it felt like an excuse just to shoehorn in all these other characters that you're going to play as, and we barely get to play as Iden Versio from that point on. That it was just a huge disappointment for me. I thought we were going to get a real story focusing around this character on the Empire, tracing how the Empire grew from what it was to the First Order, how that change happened. And yeah, I was just hugely disappointed that we didn't get a story exclusively around Iden, and that she turned from Empire to Rebel, and it didn't feel like she earned it. Like, yeah, the Empire was doing some bad stuff, but she was so gung-ho for the Empire in the beginning, it just didn't really seem to make sense that all of a sudden she would just snap and turn to the Rebels. I could see her not wanting to be a part of the Empire anymore, but the fact that she just turns and joins the enemy right off the bat, it felt really weird and not earned at all. So I would say I really enjoyed the first quarter of it. The first mission is a little bit weird, but I like the story reason for it. But then as soon as she turns and then we start just playing as these other characters, they kind of lost me. I really wish they had somehow done, if they wanted us to be able to play as these characters, I wish they had somehow done Iden's story on her own, and then maybe a separate thing where you got to hop around and play as these characters. Maybe it's related to Iden's story, maybe not, but I thought we were getting a story exclusively about Iden Versio, about this character on the Empire for the whole story, and I was hugely disappointed with what we got. I thought Janina did a great job as Iden. I really liked Iden until I didn't. And the motion capture, specifically in the beginning, was phenomenal. It did feel like as it got towards the end of the game, it felt like it wasn't as good as it was at the beginning. But I don't know if that was also me just kind of getting less interested in it as well, and just grumpy about everything in general. So campaign, huge disappointment for me. I really wish it had been what they told us it was going to be. That would be real nice. But at least I have been enjoying the multiplayer, so that's been a good thing. So overall, I would say I am liking it better than the first game, for sure. But I am severely disappointed that the campaign is not at all what they told us it was going to be. So, good game overall, but I do feel a little duped by EA. So, excited for the DLC coming out for Force Awakens, and super excited that we're getting all free DLC. We'll see if that is still a thing, even though they've taken out microtransactions. I certainly hope it is. And hopefully EA has maybe learned some lessons about microtransactions from this whole debacle. So, really liking the multiplayer overall, really disappointed with the campaign, really hoping that EA learns some lessons from all of the debacles going on surrounding this game right now. So thank you guys for watching, and stay tuned for the next one.